In today's lesson, we'll be learning about nonlinear relations with a focus on quadratic relations. As discussed previously, a relation is just a pattern. There are linear relations and there are nonlinear relations. There are many types of nonlinear relations, but today we'll be focusing on quadratic relations. But before we talk about quadratic relations, let's talk about linear relations. A linear relation is really just a pattern. The pattern here is that as each figure number increases by 1, the number of blocks increases by 2. This pattern can also be represented with a table of values, where the number of blocks increases by 2 for every one figure number. We can then use this information to predict the number of blocks in figure 4, and there would be 9 blocks in figure 4. This pattern can also be represented with a graph. I'm going to go ahead and graph this table of values for you. When you graph this pattern, it resembles a line, and that's why it's called a linear relation, because it looks like a line. Now, a quadratic relation is really just a type of nonlinear relation, which is just a type of pattern. You'll notice that as the figure number increases by 1, the number of blocks increases by a different number each time, which is different than what we saw in a linear relation. We represented the linear relation with a table of values. You can also represent a quadratic relation, which is a type of nonlinear relation, with a table of values as well. Just like before, you'll see that the number of blocks is increasing by a different amount each time the figure number increases by 1. Using this information, you can predict the number of blocks in figure 5, and the number of blocks in figure 5 would be 25. I can now represent this pattern with a graph, and I'm going to use a table of values to help me do that. This graph looks a lot different than the graphs we're used to seeing. This doesn't look like a straight line. This looks like a curved line, and that's why this is considered a non-linear relation, because it doesn't look like a line. And more specifically, it's a quadratic relation. Quadratic relations look like curved lines.